touch. You watching Joburg today, the biggest city in the whole continent, baby. Holla at your boy.
The role of fashion designers has always been to push the boundaries of what is possible. And that's not about to change at Ephymol.
I started as a model many years ago, like in the 90s. I started as a model. And during the height of my modeling, I said, you know what, I want to do something. And I went to study. I went to AAA, which is called Vega now, the advertising school. And I did my, studies there. I did creative directing and art directing, all kind of things that has to do with advertising and all that. I just love the world of creativity, and because it challenges you and opens you to say, to go beyond your normal thinking, And then, so as I'm about to conclude my journey as a model, I did that for 10 years, and I was like, I'm getting tired and bored with being a model. But at that time as well, Paris was calling me, other agencies were calling me around the world because I was on the height of my modeling career, you know what I mean? I was doing very well, but I was already bored because I started while I was still young as well, and then hence I went to study, I wanted something fulfilling. And I was sitting in my room in Yeovil those years, and then a friend of mine, I was like, I want to do something, I want to start a brand or something. Everybody used to call me Iffy, and then my surname is Molingoana, and I said, it's quite Ephymol, it's round, it's quite nice.
Got a nice ring to it.
Ring to it. And I said, it's very international as well. And I said, and I started calling myself Ephymol, and then it just stuck forever.
That's how it was born.
That's how it was born.
Ephraim, how would you describe your designs?
Well, my designs, how do I describe them? My designs comes out of from quite a lot of things significantly that happened in my life. My upbringing from the township to your Free State to traveling as a model around the world. So all those encompasses the personality and my personality. I always love and get intrigued by, the movement of Sophia Town, the Mariam Makevas, how they used to dress, the swankers in those years in the hostels, they used to do the patchwork, because they didn't have their wives around. So if the pants are torn, they'll take another fabric that, the way your jacket is, and then it's sort of like put it together on top and sew it nicely, and then it gives a nice patchwork look, but it looks so beautiful. So those kind of things that really fascinated me, and it's like, I kind of love, and because I'm very mindful with arts, so fashion to me is always about art as well. And then I was like, I kind of really, really like this kind of, movements and this kind of thing. So all these different cultures, and I always tell people, culture is not only because Ungunu, Zulu, Xhosa, whatever. No, culture is we call it subculture. That time, Mapanzula, it's a subculture. You know what I mean? And I was just talking to you earlier on, like, in the 90s when we were young, we were riveting, we always wanted, I remember even when Stone Cherry started, had like your Mariam Makeva t-shirts, all those kind of things. So we always wanted to go back in touch with ourselves, our roots and all that. And we became a kind of rebellious, and we had a group that really started finding ourselves, because at that time, even the fashion industry was not so much recognized in the black communities. They were not real fashion designers. I can count maybe Sister Bugs and who else from the black communities, you know what I mean? Iboka, Fred Iboka. And then, so in the 90s when we all started finding ourselves, and I was like, I'm going to be a fashion designer, I'm going to be a model, I love all these things. And then, the likes of Bolev Matosas, we came, about Tandiswa, so the 90s group really sort of like a chisel ourselves out, We used to be called the Lost Generations. We used to be called the Lost Generations, but hey, we ain't lost at all. We knew exactly what we were looking for.
There was a lot of inspiration.
There was a lot of inspiration. We were talking about how girls used to plait their hair, wear the afros, and the chicness of reality of South African and African, plaiting their hairs.
That's why Black Like Me flourished and did well.
Yes, I was a model for Black Like Me, and a lot of people is thinking I was American because I remember I was in the text, these women, they were gossiping about me. hayi lo mfana lo simbona TV inkosi yami ngathi American ngathi akakhulumisa ingisi only.
As with the complexion and the hair.
Yes, and I think because of grooming.
100%, especially as a male.
Yes, and in the 90s and late 80s, I remember our town was bursting with different cultures, different things. I mean, we're out in the 80s. I remember 1988, 87, we used to sit in Carlton, around Carlton Center, outside Small Street. We're punks, but with the African flag, you know what I mean? All those, so you could imagine all these beautiful things. They grow with you, and then they become a part of you, and then you start expressing them as in your everyday life. Me as a designer, I started expressing myself in those kind of things, bring them in those elements, And then here we go, 20 years down the line, Ephymol still standing.
And I mean, you're no stranger to the SA Fashion Week. Would you say it has played a significant role in the development of local designers?
Look, I was a model at the SA Fashion Week before I became a designer. And this is 20 years ago.
Jeez.
So I remember I used to model for the likes of Marian Faslas and other designers, prominent designers. And when I started saying I want to stop modeling, and then I remember very well the conversation I had with Lucilla Boysen from SA Fashion Week and Dion Chang, who was a creative part of SA Fashion Week at the time. They called me and said, no, you're not going to lose the talent in you. I was like, you don't even look at yourself as a designer. They're like, get a tailor, make yourself a label, and then I was like, me, a designer? I never went to the designing school, you know what I mean? Those little things, they start nudging you, but what is people seeing in me? And then the seller said, you're going to create your own line. And the next year, SA Fashion Week, Ephymol showcase. My first collection, I remember it was very bold, bright, pink and black. We call it Pink Panther. Yes, at that time, men were not wearing pink. And I was like,
You made
pushing
it
the boundaries.
fashionable.
Yeah, I was one of those people who said, you know what, men are going to have to wear pink. They want to have to wear laces, you know what I mean? And then, look, I think we push to the level whereby it's acceptable today. People can, we even see like a lot of new gender fluid things happening. So we really started to way back when a guy just want to wash, they don't want to have fragrance, they just want to wash, they don't put the moisturizer on their face, they don't forget Vaseline. You know what I mean? They said, no, but there's Vaseline, but there's moisturizer.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's way of dressing, but there's the way of dressing and be chic, you know what I mean? So we brought the chicness back, we brought the funkiness back of fashion, because like I said, I love the Madame Makebas, Brenda Fassis. Brenda was a fashion icon in her own way. The Sipho Mabuzes, if you can check the Hararis in the 80s and the 90s, you know what I mean? They were spunk and all that. People were spunk. People, they had ideology of what they want to fashion, you know what I mean? Even though it was not it didn't have a direction. So when Lucilla came and then brought in and built as a fashion week, it was like, answers to so many industries, from your magazine, from your fashion editors, because everyone just come now, so the whole industry come and culminate and watch this and then started what the world has been doing. And she has to do a catch up of what the world has been doing for 20 years,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So it has been a turbulent movement, it has been an exciting journey, So as a fashion week, it really indeed, it has been a platform that has seen and is still seeing so many designers coming and building themselves. And here I am today. And if I didn't have the opportunity to showcase it as a fashion week, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been 20 years down the line. Maybe I'll be selling a magunya somewhere or being a painter somewhere, you know what I mean? But the platform itself, when it came and so you could imagine now, other thing is with Lucilla, you got what is they're doing internationally, and she has to localize it with the international standard, but still had to befit the building of South African fashion.
100%.
You know what I mean? So things like she has to get sponsors, she has to get, we don't have a culture of paying this country whereby, you have to pay as a designer. Like overseas, in the late 90s, when I went to Paris, I had an opportunity to go and sit down with the creative producers and creative people of Paris Fashion Week. And they were telling us, to showcase at Fashion Week, you have to have at least 1 million euros as a designer. So you could imagine in South Africa, you got 10,000, you're crying, you don't even have 10,000 rand. Because you pay the models and it's exorbitant. I mean, you have to pay Naomi Campbell and all those people. You pay your stylist. You, as a designer, have to have your own stylist before. You create your own collection that your stylist has to come and cut it off before it actually goes to be showcased outside. So you do the pre-show, and then maybe you produce about 1,000 pieces, and then they cut it out. Yes, and then you have the models to do the whole collection, run it through, and then
Would you say that, we are at a stage where we can compete with international brands?
Look, we are on the international standard. I always say, never underestimate where you come from. The arts are international phenomenon, thing to behold. So, fashion on its own, and I'm glad that the youngsters are actually even erupting more. You know what I mean? So, if we are not having fashion sense in this country, we wouldn't be seeing all these big brands coming in the malls and, giving and dangling carrots on us and said, I'm a big brand. I don't want to say names. I'm from UK. I'm from America. We are big brands. They're here. They're all over here. So it just shows how much we can't just be consumers. We have to give outside the world. The world is expecting something from us as well. Hence, even with fashion, why I would say we are on the same standard. Yes, we're struggling with fabrics and stuff like that because they've been doing this for donkeys years. It's like when you compete with Americans with music and looks and everything. You have to bring your A game. So it's fashion, you know what I mean? I always say to people, everything, it shouldn't be looked one-sided. Fashion is same like how any other profession, you know what I mean? If you're a doctor, you can't say, I'm a South African doctor. You're a doctor, you're competing with the other doctors around the world, you know what I mean? You are a teacher, you have to be able to teach around the world. So as fashion, so as any other parts. So with us as fashion designers and fashion creatives, we have pushed the narrative, we have pushed the envelope to the level whereby the world started beckoning and looking at us. Hence, we had the likes of, I did Elsa Clench those years. She interviewed me on CNN Fashion within Africa, you know what I mean, in the 90s, because they could see that something spark is coming out of Africa. We could look at Tema Makuku now. Yeah, he's yes, huge. He won the overall coveted Louis Vuitton competition. So it's Musso Maxwell. So as others. And then I'm glad that the youngsters are really there. I'm still trying to find my opportunity as well. But if I can trust the A-listers of Hollywood as well, that clearly should say something that you're on the right path. You know what I mean? And then if you're going to go showcase outside the world, whether you're in Shanghai, in Paris, in London, in other parts of the world, clearly there's something that's good from you. Absolutely. So we are on the international level.
Ephraim, just lastly from my side, where do you see the future of fashion in South Africa?
Look, just like any other industries, we need support, and our support is not only from us. We can really stand on our own, but what make France, Paris, to be the Paris in fashion is because the government got involved. You know what I mean? Paris is one. I think is the second of fashion in Paris. I think it's the second or third sector that's up there. You know what I mean? So why can't we do that in our own, you know what I mean? Our own politicians, they go and wear all these big brands, you know what I mean? Why can't they just support us? If the outside world wants this from us, and then we're not giving, we don't even get that kind of support from home. So yes, in a few years, if things can change for better, we are going to be global. We all going to be on a global stage.
What's your content fix? Is it tourism and entertainment, lifestyle, health and fitness? Perhaps it's current affairs or just business. For the best local content, live and on demand, watch it anywhere on any device. You'll find it all right here on Joburg Today. Essential, relevant, authentic.